I see the stacks. Cool.
Let me make sure. There we go. All right, welcome everybody. This is Eric here with Stax and Investor Central Club. This is our very first live stream that we're doing for you guys. Wanted to show off our beautiful software put together by us on our team. Give you guys a couple of tips and ideas of what's going on with the markets today, and also a couple of little, special offers that we've got for you guys that we've just put together. If there are any issues, just so you guys know, we do have the monitor. We do have the chat being monitored on the site as well. So please don't hesitate. Let us know if you have any questions. Let us know if anything isn't working, if somehow my audio cuts out or something. I'm still getting used to this new software that we're using to help you guys uh, understand it all. All right. So, all right. First off, what I want to do is I want to go over our Stack software, as you guys can see here. It's a beautiful, beautiful interface that we've got put together for you guys. Simplifies a lot of the things in terms of the flow, in terms of what's being bought inside the dark pools, inside institutional orders and things like that. Just so you guys understand, for you guys to access this, you go to investorcentralclub.com, go under memberships, and you can go ahead and sign up for our software. For those that are still on the fence, you guys can take a look at this introduction here. We also have in the description below, we do have a how-to video for you guys as well. And we just recently put together a trial membership. So under memberships, you do have a trial link right underneath the button where you guys can go ahead and sign up for a free 2-day trial. Check out what Stax is all about. Try it out for yourselves before you guys commit. Now, when you first log into Stax, you'll actually see these 4 boxes. Just in order to simplify things for you guys, I had the other 3 checked off. Top left, what we have is our options purchases. There are going to be, initially as a default, we do have voice alerts enabled just because it'll get kind of loud in here while we are discussing things. I do have it disabled right here, but if you do have the speaker icon enabled, as these come in, you'll actually get voice alerts. So you can actually be doing, multitasking, doing what you need to do with your other job or what it is, going washing the dishes or watching a show. And while you're doing that these will actually shout out to you what is coming in during the market hours. On the right side, what we have is our dark pool. Dark pool in terms of the equity purchases, when big institutional orders are actually purchasing the stock themselves. You'll see the quantity and the total amount that they're purchasing. Same idea. We do have a voice alerts for you set up here as well. So if you do have additional things that you're doing as these come in, you can also hear them audibly to be able to help you pick up on what flows are coming in. On the bottom right, what we have is our market events. Market events, for example, today, you'll see September 11th. Earlier today, we had our core CPI come in. The forecast, the prior, etc., came in, was actually just at expected as well. So, we'll talk a little bit about how that affected our markets today. We also have upcoming events, upcoming economic events, things that are generally poised to actually help move the markets in terms of what people expect, what the institutions expect, and where prices may be pushed to due to,
Mhm.
it being above or below what is expected.
Hey Eric, real quick,
Yeah.
just pause. Oh, okay, never mind. It just updated. It showed that there was a bunch of people waiting, but I don't know if they're actually in. Is there a waiting room on the YouTube live?
No, they should be
Okay, they
joining
should be in.
right as it starts. Maybe
Okay,
it's just,
okay,
I do understand for you guys that are watching just the natural way that these live streams go. There is a little bit of a delay between what I'm
yeah.
saying and what is being projected out on YouTube. But that's just a natural way of how these things work. But again, if you guys in the chat do notice anything unusual, notice that there are people that aren't being able to watch, or you have a friend that's trying to watch us that isn't able to, please let me know. More than happy to take a moment on the side to make sure that they can get access there. Back to what we've got down here, we've got our flow scanner on the bottom. Our flow scanner is a awesome way of gathering what market sentiment is like, what is being purchased, what is commonly being purchased, and also whether they're buying the call or the stream or call. I'm sorry, call or the put side. So I ended up reading one of the comments as it came in. Um, for example, we will talk a little bit about it today, but NVIDIA had a pretty awesome day. It rallied quite a bit. We have our total calls here showing 85 million about, and then puts at about 22. So you can see that it's heavily favoring that side with 18 of these actually being purchased, which just gives us an idea of what the sentiment for that happens to be right now. Um, but let's go back into these. Generally, for me, I do notice that some of these take up quite a bit of real estate on my screen. So I usually disable the equity blocks, and once I've understood what's going on with the market already, I will disable the market feed just so I get a little bit more room to look at what's going on in here. Some of the awesome things that we also have as a part of our software are quick ways for you to, again, gather market sentiment. That's one of the biggest obstacles of trading and of what you're looking at is you want to know what the big guys, the big boys are buying. Are they buying calls? Are they buying puts? Do they expect that ticker to go up or down? And so we've got some pretty quick ways to do that. And so first off, what we have our put call ratio, where we can quickly monitor and see what the calls and the puts volume happen to be. We have our premiums as well, how much they've spent in terms of the calls and the puts. I will point out here, when you are in here as a default, it's going to just be the overall buys and sells of calls and puts through the history of everything that we have. So we have quite a bit of information. Last time I've scrolled down all the way to the very beginning of our flow. There still are some active puts and calls potentially from 2023. So this is, again, this is a good way to gather market sentiment, but keep in mind until we're able to start filtering through them a little bit, this is a very broad picture, okay? What we generally like to do is let's start off by filtering down to the week. As you can quickly see, the markets tend to be a bit more favored in the put side. You'll see that with the premiums, the amount of money that's being spent right there. However, the put call ratio in terms of the volume happens to be quite even. So we've got half a bull, half a bear right here showing that as well. Another thing that we like to do is because there are situations with the inherent way that options do work, is that there are some people that may be hedging their positions or getting out of positions. And that's why we've been able to identify if they're on the buy or the sell side. One of the things that a lot of our traders like to do is we like to filter out so that we only see the buys. Obviously, it'll go ahead and adjust our put call ratio and our premiums up top. And you get to be able to see what positions they're possibly getting into throughout this week. One of the good things I wanted to point out, just so you guys get an idea of it as well, today is Wednesday, September the 11th, and we did have a couple of things that we noticed through the last couple days. For the first thing I want to point out was that because of our CPI reading that we had today, yesterday, I'm going to quickly go down over here, find the print so I can show you how this works. We did, if you go in here on the ticker, click on the ticker, it'll automatically filter it for you. So what I wanted to show you is right here on the 10th, which was yesterday, on the buy side, we actually happen to have quite a few VIX calls being purchased. All right, quite a few VIX calls being purchased in anticipation of volatility going up during the CPI reading, which is actually, quite a smart side to be taking, because again, when information comes in, whether it hits or whether it is unexpected, there are a lot more people that end up coming to the markets to buy and sell their positions. Quick little note as well, you can see this spot here for yesterday was around 19 or 18. As a result, if we did pull up the charts right now, the VIX did pop up to about a little over 21 or 22, dropped right back down to about 18. But again, these would have definitely profited from those positions. Just again, with the big money, the big institutions getting into these positions, gives us a little bit of insight as to what they are expecting. Another really good one that I want to point out, a lot of people in our Discord were talking about this yesterday throughout market hours. We did get quite a few. I'm trying to scroll down to the 10th. Near the end of the day, right? 12:54. Keep in mind I'm on the West Coast in California over here. And right at market close is 1 o'clock. Right as we start nearing the close of the markets, we have this flurry of NVIDIA calls being purchased. A lot of these being purchased for 2025. But again, as you start to look through, you had a couple for the upcoming weeks, upcoming months as well. Right now, NVIDIA is standing at, if you look at here, the spot price, it was at 107 when they purchased. As of today, as of right now, NVIDIA is approaching 115. So these are definitely, if not in the money, getting close to some pretty green profits. I hope that if you guys were in our Discord, that you guys took a look at them, manage your risk, but potentially got into some of these positions for some pretty awesome profits. Another thing as well, on the bottom, our flow scanner is default to the week that we're in. So if I uncheck the week up here, it's not going to change anything down here. It's still from Monday to Wednesday for now. When tomorrow does start, obviously we're going to add that into here. But you may have noticed overall $106 of premium, $1 million of premium over here, with it heavily weighted toward the call side. Now, if I were to just go ahead and click on today, right? Click on today, you'll quickly notice that it's going to make that adjustment for what came in today. Look at that, 36.9 million calls to only about 6.5 million puts. So you can see they're heavily weighted toward the call side. And as you can see, if you guys pull up the NVIDIA charts, we've rallied quite a bit, headed upwards. Quick ways as well, you can always click on these to quickly filter. One of my favorite things to do as well is if you go under the most common contract here on the right, it'll actually show you the most common contract they've been purchasing. So October 4th, 2024, strike 108. Again, these ones now are actually very likely well in the money. Keep in mind this will go up as the price goes up. If it's at 105 right now, these are well over $7 in terms of per contract. In addition, we always have our market sentiment for our big indices. You'll notice that people are quite bearish on the indices, QQQ, SPY, and IWM. They did have quite a big drop earlier today as well. It's rallied back as well. So again, it's just one of those things. Any trader understands you do have to make sure that you manage your risk as you go in, set your stop losses, take those profits, don't let green go into red. But here you can see your total calls to total puts very heavily favored toward the put side, $7.71 million to $23 million for QQQ, 75 million to 8 million for SPY, and IWM 25 to 17. Another quick thing that you can notice here is, again, these are default to the buy and the premium. You can also go take a look at what the sell side looks like, what the volume looks like as well. But again, just as a frame of reference, most of our traders are focused on the buys and the premium. Same with the options side up here. Very often we are filtering through the buys. Quick little things before I start turning it over to Chemo and the other trader. We do have Harrison here with us today. But what I want to point out here is that we have some pretty awesome quick ways to notice our filters and our flow. We do have these signals and a little reference sheet that you guys can access that tell you what's going on. But basically, depending on their options purchase and the nature of it, whether it happens to have a very low probability, but they're spending a lot of money, or if it has a very unusual nature to it, our algorithm Stax allows us to identify them very quickly. So for example, what's coming right now here, this RKLB, I believe that's Rocket Lab. Uh, the buy of these puts, they've bought quite a bit of time, 2025, and out the money. So right now, for being a $6.60, they're buying the strike for the puts at 550. That's a pretty decent drop for that small of a stock in terms of their price. They bought quite a bit of time. It's being labeled as an unusual print here for our options. And so what you'll see is this blue bar in the background that helps you identify that quickly. So if I were to filter my unusual prints, very quickly you'll see that. Now you'll notice these two in the middle, a little bit different. On the right, you'll see the golden side to it. Golden is our big money filter. Big money filter, it's something that, when we first were putting together our Discord and our flow in there, we started to notice that, again, big money, or you can imagine the institutions, they're not going to throw millions of dollars at an option purchase if they don't expect it to go anywhere, or if they think that it's going to go down to zero. So very likely these are purchases that have a bit more research behind them, a bit more of the sentiment of what these big money institutions are doing. So our big money filter here, our premium, anything over $1 million will be filtered right into here for you guys to see. Very quickly, you'll notice SPX, SPY, last couple days as well, had quite a bit of bearish sentiment being put in there. It's just an idea for us to help get a gauge as to what they're expecting and where they want to put their money. Putting their money where their mouth is. Obviously, when you have a big money and unusual situation, those are definitely worth taking a little peek at. All right, RH over here, kind of lumped together. So this very likely could be somebody getting into a straddle or strangle type of situation where they're trying to purchase not only the up but also the downward side of those. Those ones are a little bit more complex, as you may. And before I turn it over, the last thing I do want to point out, I am the guy that is doing all of the back testing for Stax AI. If you guys are new to us, please don't hesitate. Go take a look at our Stax AI back testing. We've been around since the end of last year, December of 2023. And every month, what I do is I pull out these Stax AI prints, which are not only just unusual and big money, but also filtered through the algorithm that we've put together. And we've got a pretty awesome hit rate in terms of these last, was it for now, 8 months, 7, 8 months of our testing, almost 9. What you'll notice is we actually have about a 90+% hit rate with our averages in terms of our returns being over 150%. I do not have the link directly into our discussion below, but in the description, what I'll do after we're done with our live today is I'll go ahead and make sure that link is in there. So if you guys are watching this after the fact, there is a link to our back testing that we do. Keep in mind, we'll do and refresh it every month to get our updated numbers as well. For those of you that are a little bit more impatient, would love to go take a look at it, please go ahead, subscribe to our YouTube so you guys can go ahead and take a look at that. And the back testing videos are put right on the front page for you guys to take a look at. With that being said, if you guys do have any questions, I'll be monitoring the chat here on the side as well. But again, that's how our Stax software is used. Our Stax software gives us a bit of insight as to what the big institutions, the big money, the people who control everything, gives us an idea what they're trying to purchase, what side they're taking on. Now, with experience, I do want to point out, sometimes they will be wrong. Sometimes they get into a position a little bit early. So make sure that you do manage your position, manage that risk. Again, the fluctuations of options purchases can be quite crazy. For those of you that have traded before, you guys should all understand that. So please manage your risk. But again, we just wanted to make sure you guys understand how powerful of a software it is that we have here for you guys. And hope that you guys, take a chance with Stax. Again, like I said, if you go under our membership side of things, right underneath the big blue button for our subscribe, there is a trial period that you can take. You can take 2 days for free. Again, cancel anytime if you don't feel like it's something that you'd like to use for the long run. But again, we would love for you guys to try out our Stax software so you guys can see, again, how powerful of a tool that this is for those traders that want to understand the markets. Let's see real quick. I'm going to turn this over to Chemo and
Hey, what's up, guys?
let me see.
Yeah, Eric. One thing too. I mean, maybe you can look at it now while I'm talking or Harrison's talking.
Yeah,
But yeah, I've been trying to message on the chat box. It shows that VCM and Andrew was, and I was able to, type something in, and then now every time I'm trying to type something, it doesn't let me send anything. I'm not sure that's on me or my end, but if you can help me look into that. One, I was literally trying to show everybody how to actually, click the link and whatnot. Oh yeah, you can, but for some reason I can't send anything.
might be because you and I might be logged into the same account right now.
Oh,
That
that
might be a
that actually is,
possibility.
yeah, that might be it. But yeah, I tried to share the our website and our how-to. I tried to send things about VIX and whatnot. We did bank on VIX this morning, everybody. And yes, Eric did bring the attention of the time sensitivity and the lag of YouTube Live. So I mean, I've been trying to time it out. It's around roughly 20 to 35 seconds delay. So bear with us, but it's something that we can't control. Anyways, yeah, guys, so that was great. Thanks, Eric, for giving us a quick runaround with Stacks again. For those that are new, there is a how-to video, like you said. And what we're gonna pretty much be doing here is gonna be very casual. If you guys want to be lively into the chat box, let's talk about some trades coming up and what we're looking at. Obviously, for many of you guys that know, I am currently in Coinbase. And let me see if I can still chat right now. Let's see. Oh no, I can. Okay, cool. I don't know what happened. Yeah, one thing too, guys, is if you guys want to go on Stacks, if you guys have Stacks and look at Coin, let me try and screenshot this just to show you how Coin's moving right now. Um, Coin itself is a magnificent play. If you're not in, I would get in right now. Just to show you a screenshot of what it is right now and how it's trading at on the daily time frame.
You want to share your screen?
Well, I think I was just gonna do this. Oh, actually, how do I engage with audience? Oh, I can't even send the thing on the chat, huh? Hmm. I guess I could share my screen. See.
There we go.
Yeah, so I mean, here's my daily time frame of Coinbase. One of the best setups right here by far. Obviously, we're peeking out the breakout from this purple line trend line. We've been in since this bottom. If you are in the Discord in either FU Money Club or Ducky Whales Capital or even ICC, we are still in profits. So we're up almost 40 to 50%, depending on the strike price. I went balls deep in this. I'm still in this. I'm gonna hold this. I'm in 10-18 calls if anyone is interested that are new here. Again, if you look at it also, the stochastic slow on the daily time frame crossed over today on that gap down on that reversal, and now we are trading at high of day is what we need. We need a shakeout before that breakout, right? And that's usually how, that trades every single time, right? You're never going to get that nice breakout, even though it happens here and there. But today, with that gap down and that nice quick reversal, is conviction for me to hold this. Um, Again, right? You can look at it how you can, but I want to be very clear with everybody, just from a charting standpoint, right? If we weren't even using stacks right now, is keep in mind that this on a daily time frame, if you're not used to thinkorswim, right, was a level of support which we did kind of broke down on Coinbase. So the bear case would be that this is the retest now, and that from that 160 level retest, we could sell off further down. However, every other lagging indicator, such as the RSI and the stochastic slow, and even if I were to go zoom out on a weekly time frame, right? Or even a monthly time frame and use my Bollinger Band, I call it the BB finisher strat, right? We are in a reversal, I guess R and R to the upside, meaning that the higher the higher the probability of it going to the upside is a lot higher than it coming back down, right? So again, like Eric said, manage your risk and whatnot. This is one of the top trades that I want to bring to your attention that I am in. Of course, not only that, we have to look at it from a multi-time view perspective. Is here is this, right? Here is this on the 15-minute chart. If you look on the top right box, okay. Again, this is trading right now, right? Using the 9 and 21 EMA as a nice support throughout the entire day, intraday high. There is no reason for you to short this intraday right now. If you're looking at SPY and QQQs in the broader markets, pretty much, we're all peaking intraday high right now. With Coinbase right now, super, super volatile. We have 10 plus point moves per day on average, which could happen. And again, going back and looking at it from that larger time frame point of view, critical, very critical. And I think it's going to break out and it's going to happen. Right. So a lot of you guys can look at Stax. All right, now let's look at Stax together. Let me pull up my Stax. I guess I can share my Stax screen, Eric. Is that how I should do it?
Yeah, go for it. Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, okay. Um, right, let's just look at coin. Okay, let's look at the buys. All right. Now, the features of buys is literally just showing and telling you that the amount of purchases and what contracts are being bought to open. Okay. Now, of course, you can dive in deeper and look at the open interest and volume per the day of the next day after to see if these guys are in their positions as well. I mean, obviously, as of today, I've looked at it since yesterday, and some of these prints, like I said, these are in real time. From a few days ago, they are still in the position. Right. So again, this is I guess you can say this is a confirmation bias for me to again hold my long calls dated, right? As you can see right now, we are still squeezing. So from the minute I started talking, which was about 5 to 10 minutes ago, depending on the contract that you're in, you should already still be in the green. But again, like I said, these two, even though they're not highlighted in any such, give me an indication that if these guys are willing to spend $300,000 and 150K right here on weekly out the money calls, right? And again, this was printed yesterday, right? So these guys were down a good chunk this morning, right? And having these algos work and understanding of how the entire flow system works, right? Immediately you can tell that the gap fill would have been there, right? It did happen, and if not, we are now completely filled from that gap down into previous days close. Okay. So, but again, these out the money calls are very suspicious to me. Of course, the Stacks AI, the big money and the unusual flow is what gives us that larger conviction to enter the long play. However, again, seeing these shorter dated options and these out the money strikes, right? Let's see this back in let's come back in like the next day or two and let's see if we do gap up in coin or if we have a nice run. But again, like I said, looking into the daily time frame and charting this as a whole is how you guys should be setting up your game plan while you trade. Okay. Let's pull that chart back up again. Okay. Right. Seeing this TTM, that green arrow, okay. Again, it's a lagging indicator just like the RSI, MACD, and all this crap, right? It's a lagging indicator. It comes out late, but this gives me, again, another avenue of confirmation bias that the reversal is near, right? It might not be a huge reversal or whatnot, but it could be a major bounce, right? And again, we are still in the position we're up 39, well, respectively around 39, 40% across the board. So we'll see how it goes. I do expect the end of day squeeze on Coinbase. But this is one of the major plays that I think if you're not in, you should be in. Um, yeah, I mean, again, this is a trading session where I want it to be a little bit more casual. So if you guys have things to talk about and things that you're watching and things that you have questions on, that's the ultimate goal. Um, Yeah, oh, I'm looking at the chat. I mean, Spam Musubi, it's great that you're explaining stacks to new folks, but it does feel like clickbait. I mean, we are doing this as a whole, right? I mean, if you expect live trading immediately, then I mean that's not just gonna happen. But ideally, we are doing this live together, right? Um, and again, this is the point of this is to be a little bit more casual based, just to chat and talk and watch the markets move together, see how stacks go together. Do you have voice alerts on, Eric?
No, not right now.
Okay, I mean, if you turn it on, do the folks hear that, or do we have to pull up the screen so that they can
Um,
see stacks?
they should be able to hear what goes on if I'm sharing my side of things.
Okay. Yeah, let me just pull up stacks real quick just to see if there's anything that's worth noting or worth entering as we approach an hour and a half. Again, too, guys, if you're newer to trading and whatnot, and you're like, you get enticed from 0 days expiration and whatnot, and you try to enter and be exposed into a trade every second, every minute of the day of market session, trust me, man, you're doing it wrong. Okay. The point is to wait for these high quality setups and high quality plays and then put your big boy pants on and execute them. Right. If you're a scalper and whatnot and you're managing a risk and you find your edge doing it, that's great and all, right? Which many of traders out there can do. But I mean that's not something that we are enticed to do right now because many times, and I'm sure you guys seen it before, even with this YouTube live being 20 to 35 seconds delayed, right? I mean, I'm not that scammer type of person. I can enter a call and tell you right now, and you'll be entering 30 seconds late, and I can dump on you, right? It's unfortunate, but hey, it happens all the time. But here for us, what we do in live trading is we want to find, uh, you know, key high quality setups and plays and execute them together. Obviously, this is our first go around, so we are continuously adapting. We're going to see what works and what doesn't work. Eventually, I'll be able to show stacks and my trading screen, and I guess you can say ultimately trade live together. But of course, we're testing things out, so bear with us. Cool play on Coin Chemo. Do you have an exit price target for this squeeze? I do think we have 170, 175 plus. Initially, when I had my first entry, I was expecting that 170 to 175, and that this was before I saw those out the money prints. So that's a good profit target. If we get a nice gap up of a nice, 4 or 5%, I am inclined to again scale out of position, right? You don't, the point of trading and whatnot is to manage your own risk, manage your position. If you're like me, I'm in over $400,000 worth of Coinbase. Okay. So you be kidding me if you're going to tell me that I'm not going to collect like a 50% profit, which is damn near $200,000. Okay. Um, but again, yeah, I'm still in full after my first exit. So I re-entered after collecting profits, but I'm still in those and I'm still holding since that gap down today. Which strategy do you use initially to find tickers to follow? I use Stax, guys. If you want to find tickers that have explosive moves and try to get in the herd before everybody else, you have to monitor Stax. And when I say monitor Stax, I'm not saying again being on your computer every single minute of the day. It's literally just going into Stax, filtering through big money, right? Let's see, let's look at big money today and let's look at for buys, right? Let's just look for today's, right? And then trying to find those sweet spots that kind of have confluence with flow scanner and your options, right? Obviously, like Eric mentioned, there's a lot more put flow heavy. Again, yes, they are a few months, if not a few years. There were some leaps that were being accumulated. But again, and if some of you guys know my strategy, I'm a short-term swing trader or a day trader. Okay. I don't necessarily, sure, I'll care about the macro and how things move in the longer term, right? I'll still chart on a larger time frame basis. But again, my ultimate goal is to really snipe those quick little singles and doubles, right? Maybe triples, and I'll occasionally get my grand slams. Okay. But of course, this is one of the biggest tools you need to use, right? Our unusual filter. right? We have a special parameter, a special algorithm for us to kind of filter through, right? If you look at these if you look at these religiously, okay, and then you really chart at the same time and seeing like, okay, hey, there has been unusual flow coming into, a special ticker. Let's look at not necessarily ROH, something that comes into mind. Hmm. See, these Amazon puts would have got caught my attention, but their 2026 expiration out the money puts $1 million. So I'm not, I mean, of course, I'll still care about that. That means someone's thinking they should either hedge that Amazon's basing off at the top, or they really think that Amazon's gonna fucking pull a fast one and fucking, tumble down. For today, see, none of these really catch my eye because look, there's $57,000, 175,000. I trade with more than this. So if I see any of this stuff, sure, it can still mean that they have, some sort of insight and whatnot. And for anyone to be crazy enough to say that there's no such thing as insider trading, like, dude, you're an idiot. Get out of here, man. There is insider trading happening every single day, and it's happening in front of us, which is why people use softwares like Stax. Okay. If this wasn't around, you think retail traders can be successful? Sure, there's that 1% or 2% of successful traders that trade alone based off no other, tools needed. But again, in this day and age, you need softwares and tools like this to even get to that match point of being possibly successful. Okay. But again, like something like this, man, maybe RKLB. But again, 2025, few months out. Um, Nothing out of the ordinary. GDX, let's check out GDX actually. 33 puts. You got like, 10% out the money. Yeah, nothing too enticing for me to enter based off unusual, right? But again, this is what you should be doing either when market session is over, okay, or over the weekend when you're looking at some tickers that you're trying to find to really find those explosive moves. Um,
Pull up Nvidia just to show them right now. We still, it's 11:39 right now.
okay, perfect.
But look how they're still buying. They're still purchasing calls. Like it's one thing if, earlier today, let's say at 6:30 to 7 o'clock a.m., we saw quite a few Nvidia purchases in the calls, and then they stopped buying. Then that would probably tell me, you know what, they don't really expect it to keep going up much further. They're looking for a position to get out of sooner or later. But take a look at this right now. From the morning till now, you've got this constant flurry of $100,000 to $300,000 of these buys, right? You see it all the way down there, 9/11, 6 a.m., right? We've got these being purchased for, the beginning of October. We've got some expiring at the end of next week. Um, keep going, right? Some in 2025. Okay, one put that came in there. That's fine. Then we got a big money one, 1.6 million. Now it's already getting close, 630, 640. Keep going, keep going. They're buying all the way in the beginning of the day. Maybe some people got out of their positions, but then now 8 o'clock, still we got Nvidia being purchased. 9 o'clock, still being purchased. Keep going. 10 o'clock, still being purchased. And still 500K, 100K,
1
1.6,
million.
1.1
Yeah,
mil. Keep
yeah.
going. Now it's
Look at
now
these
it's
numbers,
10:30,
guys.
right?
Yeah.
10:30. Their purchase and keep in mind the expiration date is also very important here. You'll notice 9/27 is what 2 to 3 weeks from now. If you go look, scroll down just a little bit, Chemo. Oh,
Oh, okay. Yeah, my bad. I want to share the
yeah, you'll see notice there with Nvidia. But if you go right below those two puts, right, look right there. You've got 9/20, 9/13. That's in what, 2 days? 9/13. They're willing to spend $600 on each of those. Right there, yeah, 109. Right, those are in the
yeah,
money now.
$300,000.
300K
Yeah.
on that. So ultimately, what you'll notice is the consistent purchasing. You still got these guys at their offices willing to put in more and more into these calls. they're not expecting a reversal, right away. These guys are expecting Nvidia to continue to go up just a bit. Now, obviously, I would say those 913, I would say, definitely a bit risky. Those ones I wouldn't want to hold on for too long. The ones that are in the money might be a little bit more worthwhile, but if they're out of the money, we got to keep in mind there's still theta decay. There's still the possibility of those expiring worthless if they're out of the money. But these guys are expecting this Nvidia to approach, 115 to 120 is what I'm expecting with the way that this flow is looking here. And as of right now, it's what 115.40, 150, and it's
Or high
about to
of
break
day.
it's about to break high a day right now.
Yeah.
And so you can see that the the what we do, and a strategy that you should be thinking about here is that you shouldn't be using Stax just to think and find things to get into. What it works better as is to have an idea of, your favorite tickers. So for example, Nvidia, SPY, Microsoft, Google, have those and take a look at those charts. What resistances and what supports exist that are about to be broken? And when they do break, do we see these, the confluence, the agreement of these big money institutions? Are they getting on that call side, or are they getting on that put side? Are they expecting a rejection or a continuation? So as you guys can see from here, the purchases for NVIDIA and the flow scanner both show us people are heavily favoring that NVIDIA is going to continue to go a little bit higher. Even though it just broke the main resistances from the last week or so, they're still buying. They're still expecting it to go higher through October, November. Some of these people even through 2025. It's not to say that it can't. People won't take their profits sooner or later, and it might jump down a little bit. But overall, the sentiment here gives us that higher probability that yes, Nvidia is poised to head higher, and that's what these big institutions are expecting.
Dude, these
Uh,
QQQs that just came in too, on top of that. October 18th, 2.5 mil, 480 strike out the money.
yep.
These are two orders that I bet you that they're the same. I'm
Hmm.
I'm to be honest with you guys, I'm expecting to squeeze a nice gap up and run in the very near future. So see.
Got a couple questions here, Timo.
Oh
Can you
yeah.
walk through your exact thought process when reviewing coin before you got in? How are you confident that it wasn't going to just break below the support instead of retesting? And I got another one after.
Yeah, so I can share that screen real quick again. So obviously, I don't know, just to answer your question, right? No one knows. If anyone tells you that, hey, I fucking know for sure, they're fucking lying to you, right? But all you have to do as a trader, as a retail trader, especially, is you trade the probability, right? The probability all aims up higher than lower, pretty much, right? So if I were to really base this down on how to actually execute this trade, if the trade did not go in my favor, right? Is from my initial entry from right here. Okay. I didn't enter like the low of day here. I entered like 148-ish or so, something like right here. Okay. From here, if it broke and passed below my previous day's low, which would have been here, if we went on, would have been an actual good stop loss, right? Then I could redirect and review that actual trade and wait for that next idea or that next I guess you can say influence that reversal was going to come. Okay. That is how you're supposed to trade something like this, especially if you're trying to catch a potential falling knife, right? Again, just to answer your question, I don't know if, but again, that's how I would have managed my trade, right? And from here, from the gap up the next day and the gap and run and then the gap up again, obviously, we were at nice profits. When I scaled out, I re-entered actually, to be honest, somewhere around a 154-ish here. Actually like maybe 152-ish. And then, that's me playing this at actual zone because now I'm getting more analysis from Stacks and I'm getting more technical analysis confirmations that it actually might happen now than later. Okay.
You have another question as
Do
well.
you have
Yeah, do you have any pointers for using stacks to trade 0 days to expiration SPY
Yeah, man.
options?
If you're so again, we can't trade 0 days to expiration live like this, especially if it's 35-second delay, right? But again, pull up and share your screen with if you're especially on a desktop, which I think if you're trading 0 days to expiration is a must. Click the ETFs, bro. Click the ETFs. What I like to do is I like to click on buys, but however, if I'm in a position, right? If let's just say I'm trading 0 days right now, I'm in, whatever, for the sake of the example, I'm in QQQ calls right now, 0 days expiration, even though I see $2.56 million put into October 18th, right? I'll continue to watch this as I'm trading the 0 days to expiration. As soon as I'm in the position, I'll unclick buys because now I'm interested in all the ETFs or let's just say since I'm in QQQ, I'll type in QQQ, filter through QQQ and see. I'll watch if I see that 1018 being sold after the print of the call. Obviously, still I don't, right? So in a sense, I would still be in the trade. Now, of course, being 0 days to expiration, you never really hold through the trade unless you're have like I don't know limited capital risk of like $500 and you're literally being a degenerate by gambling, right? And you can just be like, hey, I'm just gonna hold. I don't care what happens. Whatever happens, happens. It can squeeze a 10x, 20x, 30x by end of day. Who knows, right? But if you're actually trying to trade and make this a actual industry or field of work and take this really fucking seriously, right? Then this is how you would monitor, right? If obviously multiple indications tell you, hey, you want to get into QQQ calls again for the sake of this example, and then you saw this QQQ buy of 2.56 million, and now you have not just one confirmation bias, you have two confirmation bias, and then you're looking at other indicators, you're looking at other flow that comes in real time, and it's giving you that sense of conviction to trade the upside, right? Then from the minute you enter, you can get rid of the buy and you start to monitor these actual contracts and what's going on. Okay. Again, we talked about it in the beginning of the video, but I do expect a squeeze. I do expect a nice pop. Today's session with the sell off, the bearish breakout, the fake out, and then the reversal back into now we're intraday's high pretty much. I mean, that just tells you like we just needed a shakeout for the rip, right? And again, you see this happen day in and day out every single time. Market makers in them, they're there to take your money. They're there to take your premiums. They're there to take your commissions, right? They're not going to give you free money every single time, even though, yes, it does happen quite often, especially when you're monitoring stacks and you're using this religiously. But again, that is how I would use it to trade 0 days to expiration. Obviously, if we're more active, which again, we might be able to see it at the end of day today, you'll notice that the first 30 minutes of market session, huge volume, huge amount of traders, huge flow activity, right? The last 10 minutes, once that volume breaks out at 12:50 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, if you're on the West Coast, right, or 3:50 p.m. if you're on the East Coast, right, you have that nice volume break when a surge of volume, a surge of traders come in, and you'll notice again, even though yes, there's 10 minutes left of market session, remember that ETFs are able to trade 15 minutes post market session. So you can trade ETFs up to 4:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time or 1:15 if you're on the West Coast, right? But again, if you're a scalper, a 0 days to expiration trader or whatnot, those are probably the best times to really monitor stacks. If you're not liking that high risk, high reward type of situation, right? And you like to trade during those, what I like to call zombie hours, like kind of dead hours, like right now, in a sense, before power hour starts, right? Yeah, you can catch those, decent movements of 5, 10, maybe 20, 30% returns. But you won't get like knocked out of like a one dump and you're down like 50% when you were up 50%, let's say, if that makes sense.
One
So
other quick thing too, if you guys notice under the signals on the right, 0 days to expiration, you can notice real quick with the red 0 DT little signal icon, as well. So for those ETFs and for those bigger indices, what you'll notice too is that it just helps you draw your eye to where they're purchasing these higher risk type of options. Now, what I would point out with these ones too as well, you'll notice the gold medal on the right, which is the in the money option. So 0 days to expiration in the money, those tend to be a little bit safer because if things don't go quite their way and they stay in the money, they do have the option of exercising those options at the end of the day. So those ones are definitely going to be a little bit safer. I do understand that most people that do trade 0 days to expiration are usually looking for those high risk, high reward situations. And as a result, they're getting into 0 days to expiration that is out the money. So again, if you're a newer trader, definitely something I would not suggest. But for those ones that are more experienced, what you can do is understand when you do see those symbols, the 0 days to expiration symbols for your bigger purchases. It just shows that that's the side that they're getting into.
Yeah. So, I mean, again, right now, remember, I mean, pretty much we'll be looking at it, when it gets closer to market session end. But just to follow up with Drew's question, how are you confident that it wasn't going to just break below the support instead of retesting? Um, Again, you're not, right. You have to shoot or shoot. You have to, based off of the probability that you have, which obviously the upside was a lot larger than the downside. That is when you have your initial starter position, right? You have some. It's called you have skin in the game, right? If you're waiting for that perfect entry every single time, as a retail trader, man, like you're probably very rarely going to get it. Of course, that's what it means by scaling into a position, starting or entering a starter position, things like that. What is your strategy using dark pool to help confluence on executing a trade? Actually, perfect question, man. Buddy of mine, you guys might know him, Zach Morris. His name's Eddie. So he found a nice, neat trick that he uses. He uses Stax, yes. But based off Stax, what he likes to do is he likes to look at dark pool levels. So if, let's say you're looking at SPY or SPX or whatever it is that you're trading, right? Let's just use SPY for a second. So on top of the flow, when you see the spot details right here, right? The spot details just means that that is the exact stock price that the contract was executed at. Okay, so this is what that stock was trading at when this person bought SPY puts or this person sold his SPY puts or whatever it is. Okay, and he uses these intraday ranges to find continuation plays or those bounce plays. Meaning, if he sees where the high of day is 551.39 cents, it's again for the sake of the example, and then the highs was like 555.50, right? And then the stock price action was falling down from 553 to 552. Now it's back to 551.40 or 39 in this range. He is more than likely going to play that range. Now, if we break this spot level of what he marks on his chart after seeing these, right, then he's going to play that continuation to what? The downside, right? For the dark pool levels, same thing. If anything, dark pool levels and the exact um, um, spot price is going to be even more crucial to use. Why? Because again, dark pools and equity blocks in general, they are buying the actual stock. They are buying and selling the actual stock. It's not options contracts. And obviously, if you're new, if you're experienced options trader, you'll know that there's a lot more variables at play when you're trading options, right? Like Vega, Theta, Delta, and things like that will constantly change, but not for equities, right? You're buying and selling a stock at $500. You're buying and selling a stock at 550. Hey, that's a $50 profit or that's a $50 loss, right? Very clean, very simple, right? So looking at these dark pools at 548.84, what you can do right now at this very moment is go into your larger time frame chart and draw this point of potential resistance or potential support on your chart. Because the next time we get closer to this 548.84 level, look, $69 million, $69 million, multiple orders of $69 million. Okay. But the next time we go to this 548 84, since we are currently trading at what 551, guess what? I bet you that we will bounce. And you can take on that bounce trade as a 0 days to expiration, right? You can take on that potential trade. So, meaning here, what you can do if you're a little OCD like me, um, I'll go ahead and share my larger time frame. 548, it was 84, right? I just, yeah, for the sake of this. Anyways, I'll mark this, I'll edit this. Sometimes I can just change it to like a purple color, right? For dark pools, right? So the next time I can see this on my larger time frame, right? And the next time the stock price action gets closer to here, I'll play this bounce. right? If we break below and we show that we have a confirmation retest, guess what? I'll play the downside, right? Simple as that. Now, if you go and continue to mark these dark pool levels on, again, you don't need to spend every single minute trading. If you are, man, like, dude, I don't even know why you're in this field. You might as well just have a 9 to 5 because you're spending all day on a screen anyways, right? The point of getting into this industry is to literally spend less time on a screen, right? And enjoy your life, live your life at the same time, make some money on the way. Okay. But again, if you're looking at it and using Stax right now, again, end of day is totally fine when market closes. You'll see a shit ton of dark pool come out. And then again, when you find certain levels, 540.15, 540.15, 546.41, right, 38 million. These are the levels that you should be putting onto your charts, right? And you can, again, note them however you want and just state, these are dark pool levels, right? Institutions have been doing something around these levels, right? Let's expect something, right? And then we can dive deeper into gamma squeezes and whatnot towards those actual levels, right? But again, when you have this much amount of capital into one specific price point, you can bet your ass that there's going to be some level of volatility or a push break below or bounce break above, right? And those are how you can see a lot of these 0 days to expiration. You don't even have to be 0 days to expiration traders, right? You can be like, a week out trader, but these are the people that, you can see them flaunt, all day on social media. Just made fucking, 400% return in 5 minutes, right? These are how they snipe these type of trades. Okay. Not just sitting around and waiting and then just executing every single trade that they see. Okay. So that's a really good question. I'm glad you brought it up actually. And again, Eddie, Zach Morris, he was a buddy of mine that it brought this to my attention and that's how he deciphered. And it's fucking crazy. If you don't know who he is, man, like he's a fucking handsome ass man, fucking baller. But yeah, he's a good guy.
All right. How about Harrison? I know you've been quiet this whole time. Harrison, you want to jump in and talk a little bit about either some things that you see or what you've noticed in the flow? You can go ahead and share your screen if you want to, or I can share
Yeah,
stacks from my side. Go ahead.
yeah. So the way I trade is I am a spy trader. So I mainly use stacks to help me find indications of where SPY is going. So one thing that I do is obviously every day I have stacks open and I check for the flow. So like for example, this morning
Go ahead and share your screen.
yeah. Let's see. You guys see it?
Give me one sec. There we go.
Yeah. So
There
for
we go.
example, I day trade SPY options. I don't do ODTE. That's just a little bit too risky for me. What I do is I primarily trade option contracts a week out. So that's my strategy, right? And because I am an intraday trader, one of the things I use is Stacks and also VWAP. VWAP is pretty common for a lot of intraday traders just because it shows price based on summations, values of volume and price. And it's a periodic indicator, right? So it's not like Bollinger Bands or it resets every day. So it does a new calculation at the beginning of the day. So it gives a little bit more accurate information of the price and the price action. With SPY, I use Stack to gauge the sentiment of the market. So for example, I got into SPY puts this morning at around what 7 o'clock, and then on Stacks, I saw that around 7 o'clock there was a flurry of SPY puts just coming in, right? I don't trade directly off of Stacks, but it just gives me an indication. So I saw that volume was going up at this time, and it was a lot of bearish price action. And SPY was also printing a fuckload of Stacks was printing a fuckload of SPY puts. So that was my second indication that okay, this might be playing to the downside. And as you can see, like on the VWAP right here, you see how price pushed below the VWAP level. So that to me is an indication that we are bearish, you know. And I basically wait for the bounce. So I play the first two bands of the VWAP right there. There's also a second set of bands, but I just turn it off because it's just too much information for my brain to process. But right here, 654, right? It kind of bounced a little, and then there's like a three candle confirmation to the downside. And I usually get in after the third candle confirmation of downside. And at around 7 o'clock, 7:04, that's when the SPY puts started rolling in, right? And I just took the trade. And I usually set a win-loss ratio of 1.3. And once it hits, that's when I sell, right? I use 1.3 because statistically speaking, that is the most preferable risk reward ratio. A little background for myself. I used to work at a investment bank. I was in sales and trading, but it was in fixed income. But this is the way we trade, and I carry on those strategies into my retail trading career as well. Um, so I think Stax has been super useful in that sense as a SPY trader. Another trick that I do is, that SPY consists of the S&P 500, but what are the biggest players in SPY, right? So I think, okay, that's NVIDIA, Apple, Microsoft, right? Those three names themselves account for roughly 20% of the SPY, right? So if you pull up Stax and you look at NVIDIA, all you see all we saw were like what Nvidia calls all day today. Well, once I saw that and I saw that, okay, look, SPY bottomed out and there's a bunch of Nvidia calls that just came in. I expect that there is going to be a reversal because one, fundamentally, we had CPI today, right? Core CPI shook out a lot of people. That's why SPY went down. But as soon as the drop was like done and people realized, okay, this is overblown, we have that massive V-shaped recovery and NVIDIA calls start flowing into stacks. That's another indication for me that says, okay, maybe the market is reversing now because such a big holding like Nvidia just reversed. And it's not just Nvidia. Like if you pull up Microsoft or Apple too, the same thing happened, right?
Yep. Yep.
Like a bunch of Microsoft calls came in and a bunch of Apple calls. And you know what? You don't even really have to know how to, traverse the markets fundamentally. Just knowing that, okay, the big names are going up, then it's probably going to have a skewed effect on the SPY. And that's exactly what it did. Like the charts for NVIDIA you see right here is exactly almost where SPY also bottomed out. So like right here at around 748, right? It's a little bit more clear for you guys. Boom. Look at that. So there is correlation. And it's not just NVIDIA, it's also Apple, right? And it's also Microsoft, right? And with the VIX has an inverse correlation. So you see right when VIX topped out, that's when SPY also started going up as VIX went down. So that's just how I use stacks and technical analysis to play the markets. So, yep.
Nice. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. And I think like with Stax it's a game changer because without an options flow software, I feel like I wouldn't know what's going on in markets. Like I used to just play this blind, like straight up blind. And yes, I would have conviction, but Stax really helps me solidify that conviction. And I know as you guys can see in like the profits channel, I've been posting a lot of my profits. I've been really, really consistent with SPY. I think I back tested my strategy with stacks and SPY trading. I think I have like somewhere around like 85.16% win rate. Although like my profits aren't the largest, like I don't hit these triple digit gains. Like 10 to 20% is more than enough for me because I play with a pretty sizable amount. I usually play with 3K to 5K per play. So if you do the math, that's about like what, 300 to $600. And that's more than enough for me, right? I'm done in the morning, then I get to do something else. Like I go to my Amazon job, right? I run an Amazon store on the side. So that's why trading is so powerful. Like Kimo said, you don't want to look at the screens for like 6 hours a day, right? You want to live your life. Go do something else with your life. Go, find another side hustle. Go have fun. That's the whole point of trading. And Stacks has really, really helped me free up a lot of my time to do stuff like that.
Glad to hear,
Awesome.
man.
Yep.
Yeah, awesome to hear. Seriously.
Yeah, man.
For those who don't know Harrison, I mean he's not a real narc, uh, but yeah, he's been fucking grinding, hustling, man, like finding ways to perfect and which again, thanks for joining us today,
Yeah, no
Harrison.
worries.
I wish this is our first one, go around, guys. So again, bear with us for the little hiccups here and there and how we can try and execute the screen share a little better. But yeah, those who do not know who Harrison is, he goes by Narc on social media. And yeah, he's been a consistent ass trader for the past few months now. And thank you for sharing your success story with us, and your
Of course,
edge.
of course.
It really was an eye opener actually. So
Mhm.
it's good to see everybody deciphers stacks the way they do, and how they kind of execute their own trades. So that was phenomenal.
And I also like to add that, I think Stax versus other options flow software is better or the best options flow software out there. Like the other options flow software out there that I've tried, like it's just a bunch of like calls and puts coming in, but like you can't really decipher what's going on, like the signals really help me out. I think that's what's really important too, right? Because there's like the out the money and in the money. That shows me like, okay, well, why are these people buying out the money calls versus in the money, right? It in
Right.
itself, like those signals there, it gives me a bit of more of an idea of how I should trade the markets. And I'm really appreciative of those. So good job, guys.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the things I wanted to add there is, when we first started, the flow was being shouted out within a Discord, and so you would get these individual prints of, Nvidia, this many purchases, this much money, etc. But there'd be separate messages within the chat. And one of first off, the first thing that we did notice was that, we have this scoring system that was being used that helped us get an idea of how unusual something might be. In our Discord, it's still being used, but the issue with the way that the information was being presented was it was very hard to filter through. One of the things that I think a lot of traders will understand is, it's one thing to have the information, it's another to be able to go through and actually decipher what's going on with it. And one of the things that we love with Stacks is there's an easy way to filter things. Not only do we have our checkboxes up top, let me share my screen here. Not only do we have our checkboxes up top that allow us to filter through the buys and the sells and everything like that, but we can also still figure out what big money is but purchasing, what the unusual situations are. And one of my favorites, obviously, are Stacks AI and the algorithm that we have that not only filters out the unusual and big money, but very specific parameters that allow us to point out, hey, these are situations where, we like to think that there's some sort of insider information where somebody might know something, and these, drastically improve our odds and improve our probabilities when it comes down to taking those types of positions. Um, and just again with the way that the software is being set up, we still have little things that are in development that will help us, decipher all of this. But for example, the flow scanner was something that we implemented just not even what, 2 months ago now. It's still fairly new, but what it definitely allows us to do is get a better picture of, what's going on within the marketplace. And so, just like Harrison said, there are a lot of other softwares out there, but one of the things that we did with the way that we put this together is, we wanted, simplicity of the flow. We want to be able to look at the flow and be able to decipher right away, hey, this is what's going on. This is what the person purchasing this might be thinking. That's why we've got our signals. That's why we've got it color coded the way that it is. We've definitely gone through and fine tuned it so that, and taken the advice and the suggestions of all of our users to really figure out what it is that the trader wants, what it is that allows us to operate at our best.
Yeah, well said. Again, guys, we're all retail traders here. I mean, it's literally us helping each other find the best way to trade and make money to beat the big boys. And believe me, believe Eric, believe Harrison. We found an edge that actually helps. Believe it or not, that's up to you. And if you actually want to believe that it actually works. But for those who don't and they do want to give it a try, I did put the 2-day trial free link for you guys in the chat box. For those who are not already subscribed, those who are subscribed and are using Stacks, we'd love to hear your success stories. or things that you found that actually helped in your trading. Regardless if it's something small where it's like, hey, like I realized that again, this is another trader that he was unfortunate to join with us today, but he noticed that um, when he's trading weeklies, right, it might not be 0 days to expiration, but when they're weeklies, he really wants to scalp in and out. He has a 9 to 5. He works on the West Coast. Ideally speaking, he has maybe about an hour to really make his money, get in, get out of the trade, and then go to the hospital, right? So, I mean, one thing he found is when a print comes 3 times in a row, let's just say buy SPY puts, buy SPY puts, buy SPY puts, during the beginning of the day when again there's the most volume that kicks in, right? He then more than likely will follow that trade and get in and out and try to get out prior to the reversal or if anything does happen. And again, these are little tips and tricks that other people found success in. He has an Excel sheet that out of like I think it was like 36 trades per week doing that same strategy, within trading the first like 30 minutes to an hour, his hit rate was about 86%. And again, this guy does not know how to chart. This guy does not know how to do anything. He literally just follows stacks. And if there's 3 consecutive orders that come in the same direction, right, during the beginning of the day, he told me straight up, he will follow those. And, of course, he manages his risk. He's not going all in every single time, right? So he still has capital to play afterwards. But again, that is something that, we found that, others tried to do and it worked out. Okay. From when Harrison started talking and Eric started talking and whatnot, like when we saw that QQQ $2.5 million print, just want to follow up with everybody. We are currently pushing high of day, almost high of day right now. Again, this is still technically, I guess this would be power hour now, not zombies. But let's see how the next 45 minutes plays out. And then, you can kind of tell for yourself why the flow really helps gauge directional bias, right? And again, like what Harrison said too, it's if you were doing this, and we've all started not using any tools, not having any software, and guess what? It's only human of us, right? I mean, we're all stubborn in a sense. When I started trading, I'd be like, man, fuck, I don't need to use this shit. I don't need to use that. Like it's fucking solid price action. I just need my indicators, or I just need this, and I should be good enough. Why would I need to pay or use another tool or software? Guess what? All the biggest hedge funds out there, all the best traders out there, they don't fucking trade alone, man. It's a wake-up call, all right? They all use softwares, they all use tools, they all use Bloomberg Terminal. Okay, so you'll be very idiotic to say, hey, the best trader out there, yeah, they don't use anything, man. They're fucking raw. Like, you don't be kidding yourself. And if they are selling shit like that, to sell that they don't use anything and they trade strictly on whatever they see and use and in terms of free indicators and whatnot, man, you're getting fucking screwed. Okay. So just want to point that out there. Did you learn
Yeah,
Zombie Hour from Bao or Alex Remis? I don't know who those people are. Or actually, Bao I might know. I think is that Modern Rock? I met him a couple of times. He invited me to his seminar, but no, actually, it was something I came up like maybe like 8 years ago. I only called it zombie hours because it was literally at, so I trade on the West Coast, so it's literally like when I wake up, I take a piss. I don't even wash my face, so I have like eye boogers and shit. And then like of course throughout the day, it's like when I'm done like the first hour or so, I mean I fucking look like a zombie type of thing, right? So it's like I just said, hey, it's just fucking zombie hours. I didn't know they actually call it zombie hours too. Um, when I reflect zombie hours, I reflect it from like 8 a.m. from when the European data comes out. 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, by the way, guys. Okay, so that's 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. From like all the way to like 11:30, maybe even 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Usually I don't like to trade in those ranges if we are in, actually here, that's a good question. Let me share my screen real quick. Um, So just to give you a heads up, if those who don't know, let me remove some of my studies here. Or actually here, let's look on the left side. I'll just change this to a larger time zone so you can see it better. So the top left, let me get rid of the news and all this. So look at this box only right here, guys, okay? So um red line, right? And then I know those are in the Discord. Fucking, this is like, dude, Chemo, shut the fuck up, man. This is the same shit you've been saying all the time, right? But this is my pre-market low. This is my previous day's low. This is my pre-market high. All right. My white line is my previous day's close, and my dotted green line is my previous day's high, right? From in a span of pre-market ranges, if we were to consolidate and trade like this within zombie hours, meaning again, like I said, 8 a.m. ish or so, right, like maybe like right over here to like power hour to like right over here. If we were still in this range break, guess what? I would not even touch a trade. I wouldn't even touch this trade at all. I like to trade the continuations or the breakout plays, right? Obviously, this type of move like itself, broken down from pre-market low, right? You can scalp this to the downside, break back up to pre-market low. On the upside, you can scalp that to the upside. Resistance here, right? Scalp that to the downside. Or if we break out, right, then you trade the upside. Other than that, other than breaking anywhere in between this range itself, I usually don't touch. The best ranges itself is, let's see if there's, oh, actually here, perfect time today. NVIDIA, okay? NVIDIA, we had the nice breakout to the upside above all five of these ranges, okay? This is what gives you that continuity or continuation basis of a runner that can continue to run with no fucking resistance whatsoever intraday. Obviously, after that first CPI news and whatnot, we had a nice little fake out. If you look at SPY really quick, right, just to bring that up, okay, SPY never broke out of those ranges, my five key intraday ranges, okay. So that means, of course, SPY is what? The S&P 500, the fucking top 500 companies of the fucking goddamn stock market. Okay. If SPY is not breaking out these highs and NVIDIA is, what does that tell you? Something is sus. NVIDIA can't hold up the entire market, even though it can hold up a portion of the market, right? So unless if SPY actually continues back up and breaks out of these five key levels, which it did, right? That would be your same confirmation bias of your NVIDIA continuing to travel higher. Okay. Now, in the perfect world, if how this would have played out is going back to SPY, if SPY broke out just like how Nvidia did, holy fucking shit, you would have entered right at the morning break. And you know, you could have continued to run and hold this for fucking the entire day, honestly, right? Until guess what? Until we were to show any weakness to break back down. You know, if you draw like a basic trend line, right? Okay. It kind of gives you that exhaustion coming in. Okay. As we hit intraday's high. Now, if you look at now, here's another tool and tip, which is not Stax related. If you go on the daily time frame is what I love to use as a short-term swing trader or a a day trader. The days range, which is very commonly used for everybody. Okay, it's just the average of what the price action trades at the highs and at the lows. Right now, at the 107 lows of today, Nvidia, and now at the 116 highs, let's just say it's about a $9 move. That is already as high as our average moves for the day of how Nvidia moves. Okay. If not, we're reaching one of the highest. This was pretty higher, 116 and 100. So that's the same exact $9 move. So for you to use basic common sense, okay, you don't have to overcomplicate trading. You don't have to overcomplicate any of this shit, right? For you to enter now to chase the upside based off stacks, yes, you have the edge, meaning you have a higher probability, but again, your risk to reward now is a lot slimmer than when it was down here because your $9 range for the move for intraday has already happened. Okay. So now you can be like, oh shit, Kimo, I want to enter now, man. Fuck, man, stacks, baby. Guess what, dude? You're already positioning yourself at the fucking worst spot intraday, right? Every other stacks print in stacks right now is in profits. But if you enter now, and again, it doesn't mean you won't make money. I'm just saying that as a retail trader, you need to use common sense for these type of ranges and these type of moves. Okay. Many times, okay, I want you guys to understand this that I don't think Eric brought to your attention is that remember, these hedge funds and these big boy traders and whatnot, they have the SEC on their ass day in, day out. Okay. You have to understand that if you are trading with some fucking big boy monies, I'm talking $1 million, right? And you try to play fucking weeklies or 0 days to expirations, and you think you time that perfectly every single, time you trade, and you make fucking 10x, 20x, 100x, right? You can bet your ass the SEC's gonna be knocking on your door. Okay. So there's a reason why people, let's just say they wanted to take on that day trade, but they don't buy 0 days to expiration. They don't buy weeklies, even though they know they're going to mark it off when they're playing with this amount of capital. Okay. And of course, there are specific times too when you see like a large amount of leaps, which by the way, if you look back on Stacks, okay, we saw a large amount of leaps. I think it was 4 days ago. Okay. And that is when they bought at the intraday high. Now, obviously, they're in green, hindsight, right? But here, let's pull up NVIDIA together. It was like 9.6 or something like that. They'll do this better. Yeah, 9.6 right here. $23.5 million NVIDIA calls December 2024 expiration. Okay. They bought at the damn near at the $102 it shows. So like not maybe intraday low, but not intraday's high, but it was right in the middle of that big fat red candle. Okay. Now $23 million, they're at the lows probably down like 30%. Okay, a couple $1 million, no big deal. But hey, going back to how if someone were to say, hey, like, did you know something was going to happen, yada, yada, yada. And this is actually not a bad scenario for it to show. Let me share this screen. Okay. Entering right here on that day at $23 million. Okay. And they're not buying weeklies. Okay. They're buying 4 months out. Okay. Yes, they're in the green right now, but you can damn near show you that that entire day they were fucking sweating. They're probably throwing up. Okay. Obviously, yes, now they're in the green. Good for them, right? They're probably like, oh, fuck yeah, I'm good to go, yada, yada, yada. I'm up. They're probably up like another fucking 15, 20 mil right now. I don't know if it's 100% return yet. Let's just look. 12, 20, 2024. What strike was that? That was at $110 strike. So that was out the money at the time.
It's
They're
worth
currently
about
trading at
17.
17,
Yep, 17.
$17.40 at the ask. Um, they entered at $9. So that's damn near almost 100% return in 4 days. So that's almost $23 million in 4 days, guys. Okay, to tell me that stacks doesn't work and flow doesn't matter and all that shit, you guys are ridiculous, right? But again, the concept of you using common sense into trading and into these tools plays a big part of your success being in this industry. Okay. Um, and again, this is all in real time. This is hindsight, sure. But then this data, you can reflect back at every possible scenario you can find right now. Okay. 9 out of 10 times, it banks off. You'll be fine. It's not going to find those major hedges and whatnot. But this is just food for thought to tell you that these big boys, sometimes they don't want to be seen. They want to get in bad positions early on because they know that they're going to make money later on. Does that make sense? So again, that's why I know many of you guys are trying to play 0 days to expiration and weeklies. Fair enough. I get it. We all start off like that. Like the first 3 years of me trading, I was waking up every single day. I was like, oh, fucking come on, God, just give me $200 before I go to my 9 to 5. Because guess what? $200 was how much I would have made working 8 to 10 hours for a job, and I could have made that in like 2 minutes. Okay. So yeah, a mixture of common sense, a mixture of stacks, a mixture of actually understanding what's going on in the markets is a big, big um, eye opener that you guys all need to understand. Okay. No, you can't just use one tool to be successful in this industry. You do really need to have common sense. Okay. Um, hate to break it to you. But again, Stacks is one of those great tools that we want to share with you that us retail traders, okay, we don't have fucking millions of dollars to fucking throw away. Okay. We need to really find a edge and streamline that edge so that we can work to be very profitable in this market. Okay. Now, again, going back to QQQ, as we talk and as we trade together and we're looking at this in broad hindsight, QQQ now at high of day, those 2 point whatever $5 million QQQ calls. Guess what? Would you have known those came out if you not had used stacks? No. Would you have tried to be the hero and fucking get into puts right now to sell this off if you were trading by yourself? Fuck yeah, you would have. If I saw this shit, I'd been like, oh no, I'm just gonna continue scaling to puts and try to be that hero. Okay. Again, this is just to show you that again, Stax works. What we try and not really necessarily teach you guys, but we try to show you in best case scenarios and also the worst case scenario of how things can happen. Um, but keep in mind, common sense does go a long way. Now, going back to what I said about the daily averages, right? Look at how QQQ is moving right now. 451 lows, currently 467, right? So that is a huge move to the upside. For you to be a retail trader to kind of not necessarily go all in 0 days to expiration or whatnot and try to continue to ride this wave, right? I mean, I hate to break it to you, man, even though I saw those calls and whatnot. Hindsight, yeah, I could have made money if I told you guys to enter too, if I entered with you, right? But man, again, I'm common sense here, man. I don't have $1 million to throw away. If I entered with you and we lost, let's say a 20% or whatever, it hurts. Okay. So if this wasn't at the high of days when we started trading and we were pretty much still ranging in that $3, $4 price range, and then we saw that move, out the money move, sure, I would have took my shot there. Okay. I would have started an initial entry position. Okay. A starter position. Potentially would have scaled in or scaled up or whatever, or maybe even a dollar cost average if it moved down, depending on what expiration I chose. But a big part of it was what? Common sense. Okay. And then remember, I know we're talking a little bit more about technical analysis now, right? But again, just going back to the my 5 key intraday levels, my scripts, right? You can find them in the Discord. QQQ is now just like SPY and NVIDIA, broken above all these goddamn levels. Okay. Sure, we can break back down and retest this previous day's high. Okay. However, we kind of did over here. EMAs tell us that we're still scrolling up. The 9 EMA is still holding as support. So for you to try to be the hero now, yeah, sure, you can make a nice return if we do sell off. But that's just gambling, in my opinion. You're not really having an edge. You're literally just saying, hey, it's moved so high, I think it should drop down a little bit. And then from there, I'm going to take profits, right? And let's see Stacks real quick. If Stacks had any QQQ.
You also have another quick question if you want to
Okay.
answer it.
All right, I need to take a piss real quick, but okay, QQQ puts 117 leaps. Those are sold. Guess what? That's fucking bullish, guys. Okay. Someone bought a put, probably a hedge. You know how it's a hedge. Fucking $395 strike. The fuck? This guy thinks fucking World War III is gonna happen in the next few months, man. Like that's a hedge. That's how you know it's a hedge. Okay. 790K, reasonable hedge, right? If you're a multi-billion dollar hedge fund or whatnot, right? A lot of these QQQ puts being sold at 12:02 p.m., 12:02 p.m., 12:13 p.m. Obviously, look at this timestamps, right? It makes sense. We're going higher, we're squeezing higher. What was the question, Eric? I need to take a piss though, real quick.
Using this large NVIDIA flow as an example, if you're filtering only for buys on Stax, doesn't it blind bias you against how quickly these positions are exiting?
Sure, it can, but it doesn't really. I guess it's not blind bias. It's just giving you, um, like, okay, goes back to the example in the beginning. So in options, okay, in the stock price, right, real quick, when you buy a stock, you have a seller on the other side. Okay. When you're selling a stock, you have a buyer on the other side. Okay. When you have a print in options, right? Options is the CBOE. This is options traded contract. We have people not necessarily selling you those exact same contracts, but the algorithms will sell you that contract. So if you're buying and selling, I mean, if you're buying a put or buying a call, regardless, you're still buying that potential XYZ stock. Meaning, in a sense, they would continue to try and float back up unless you actually had another seller. Now, the seller side, if you filter through Stacks, right? If you don't click the buys and you look through just the sells, right? That is someone, an actual trader, actually initiating a sell position, a sell order. Does that make sense? Um, so the algorithms is what fills your orders when you're trading options. When you're buying and selling a stock, you have a buyer and you have a seller. Okay. No one's going to give you that liquidity to sell a liquid stock. Okay. But you can notice if there, you can right now, you can go fucking, I don't know, probably Lululemon or fucking some illiquid ass fucking options. And you can look that there's zero volume and you can still buy that options contract. You can try that out right now. Right? You'll still get filled. There is an entire system for them to fill you because they think that they're going to make money through you in the future. Okay. So it's an entire process. It's a little different. But Yeah, so it's not a blind bias because it tells you these are real fucking traders that make on these actual fucking trades, right? But yeah, hold the fort real quick, Eric. Let me take a
Yeah.
quick piss. Oh,
Let me switch it over. And also, just kind of to add on to that as well, to answer your question a little more, is you don't have to filter just the buys. Obviously, for example, right now, if we take a quick look here at NVIDIA, there are a couple sells coming through, but you can notice I've got this filter for today. There isn't any clear signal of that all these people are all getting out at the same time, and that's going to mark the top. You still have a very heavy bias toward the purchases for the buys of the calls, and still some pretty big money situations as well. And yeah, again, so if I see sell of these calls, that's about $1 million right there, probably getting out of one of these previous positions that they were in. So that's where we always remind our traders, be mindful about your position. If you're going to step away from your trade, make sure that you go ahead and set your stop losses so nothing unexpected, if it does happen, that you're still protected from those situations. Generally, what I would say is to find situations where you want to get in. Yes, you definitely want to filter through those buys to see, where the bias happens to be. Obviously, I always peek over at the expiration dates as well. If the expiration dates are shorter term expirations, and then see if that, whatever strike price they're purchasing, are they purchasing out of the money? Are they purchasing in the money? Those, as you trade a little bit more, those start to give you a little bit more of a hint as to how much of a move that they're expecting. And right now with NVIDIA just again keeps tapping on that high of day, keeps going a little bit higher. It's at 116 now, a little bit higher than 116. So a lot of these that got in earlier through the day, and you can notice too, they continued to purchase these all the way up till, even right now. We just had this one come in 1234, for end of this month, 125. So this guy's still expecting it to go a bit further up. Now, obviously, you can notice volume and open interest. For those that don't trade as much, you want to make sure that you have that liquidity. You want to make sure that it's something where people are actually purchasing and buying and selling. It's an active market. So these ones with over, 10,000 open interest give us a little bit of an idea that these are fairly liquid in terms of people that want to get in and out of these should be able to find a buyer and seller to match up with those. But yeah, even right here with this, um, you know, end of next week, 920, 124, I would say that NVIDIA probably still has some room to run. I would not be surprised though to see it tomorrow gap down a little bit, some profits maybe being taken near the end of today. But we do have this, let me share this screen. If I share my trading view right here, we do have this bit of this called a Wyckoff accumulation type of zone. We did break up. In these situations, it's still very likely that it'll come back and retest. I will point out here as well, what I do have on the right here is my volume profile, and you'll start to see, at least in the most recent time frames, that we are approaching situations where we do have some decent resistance, some more buyers and sellers that are stuck in those prices. So it is possible that we will see a little bit of profit taking soon. Let's just zoom out a little bit further back to see what the full picture looks like in terms of our volume profile. Yeah, would not be surprised to see people start to take profits by 117 range. We kind of are in this range where there are fewer buyers and sellers overall, at least from the last 2 to 3 months, if you see right here. Okay. Oh, did my screen freeze? Oh,
no,
hold up,
no,
hold up. Let me fix that for you guys. There we go. Okay, there we go. Thank you for letting me know about that. You guys should be able to see that. Let me double check my. Yeah, perfect. Okay.
no, it's because I didn't stop sharing my screen, Eric, before I left.
Yeah, but I switched over to mine, but I think when I switched over to my trading view,
Oh, it froze.
it froze for a moment. Those are of you that are in this in the chat. Has it fixed itself just yet?
No, it's still frozen.
Okay, let me do this real quick.
Yeah, it's stuck on Stacks and your face.
Stuck on my
And
face.
yeah, and I'm still not here, but I'm here.
Let me. It's good now? Okay, cool. Let me reiterate what I just said there. Backtrack just a little bit. Just like we saw with our stacks flow, we still got some of them purchasing for that 120, 125 range in the next few weeks. And so what we want to understand here, this right here is pretty much what we call a Wyckoff accumulation zone. It's a very small one just through the last month that we see. And we have these zones in which we had our rejections, bounced back up, took a little bit of a lower, took out some of those in terms of the buy side, and we're very quickly rallied back up. So if we were to consider this to be a move back up, what I do want to point out here, and as I scroll back and show all of the price action for the last few months, we're looking here over at these bars on the right. The bars on the right show us where the majority of buying and selling has been happening over the course of the last few months. And you'll notice that we're in a zone where there's very few buyers and sellers. So price is more likely to move fairly quickly between these ranges, but I would not be surprised to see people start taking their profits in this one high 117, 118 type of range. Definitely will see some price resistance up here near 120, not only being a round number, which we tend to see some of that psychological resistance, but as well as that happens to be, if you take a look at this line right here, quite a bit of resistance as well. So just so you guys know, there still is room, especially with what Stax is showing, there's still a bit of room for NVIDIA to go up, but you do want to make sure that you're careful with your risk management here. It still can come back down to that 115, maybe even a little bit lower to take out some of those doubters before it does head back up. And at least with what Stacks is showing us right now, is that there is still sentiment, at least with the big money situations, that NVIDIA should head up a little bit further. And it's always funny to see, the last few weeks when NVIDIA came all the way down here to the, what's this, the like 90s and things, people are always thinking, oh, it's going to go down further. No, when everybody is fearful, be greedy. When everybody's greedy, be fearful. That's what Warren Buffett said. And something that I've noticed, especially with the way that the markets work, is the more you're listening to the news about what's going on, a lot of them are bought and paid for by these institutions that are moving the price. So be careful with that. Don't always just believe what the news has to say. Take a look at what's going on with the pricing. And when everybody happens to be fearful, those are the situations where we start to bounce back up and head back up. Wanted to make sure and ask that everything should be working good now. Did anybody else have any questions, or we're coming down to the last 20 minutes of market. Are there any tickers you guys would like to see on Stacks? Any charts you'd like to see? Go ahead and let us know in the chat. Switched it back to our Stacks. No, everybody's good. Like we also said, if you haven't used Stacks yet and would like to try it out, make sure you go under our memberships. Right underneath the big blue button, there is a trial period for you. We also did link it in our chat box in the live for you guys to go and try out. Again, if you don't find that it's for you, you can cancel it at any time. But we definitely want you guys to try it out if it is something that you haven't used just yet. We do have quite a few people, not only in our Discord, but people that are using the software that very quickly were able to make that, at least their monthly membership back by focusing on what's going on in the markets and getting into good positions there. It is a great tool, and I wanted to say as well, I will be linking the backtesting video in our description so you guys can see as well. All the numbers in terms of our Stax AI purchases, all the returns and all the numbers in terms of where, oh, that's because I have it stuck on today. All the Stax AI purchases over the course of the past months through this last year. One thing that I did also want to point out, I don't think I mentioned it in our introduction, was that once an expiration date has been met on any of these prints, we do remove it from the calculations, remove it from the flow. That way it doesn't end up, cluttering the screen. That way it makes it so that we can see what is still potentially active within. And you'll notice with our signals and the blue and the gold bars as well that these Stax AI prints are very, very specifically picked out of the entire flow. There are a few months where we have quite a few, up to 30 or 40 of them.
Yeah, one thing I want to add to that too is what I've found successful when I use Stacks AI guys is sentiment. Okay. And that's key in terms of understanding the sentiment of how that stock or whatever, stock it appears for that day or whatever it is. Many times, and I know a few of you guys have seen it before. We never really buy the same expiration contracts. Usually you'll see some leaps and whatnot. Yes, they're a little bit more pricey, but the biggest point in terms of when we see that print is again the sentiment. So sometimes I'll trade, like MU was a big one a few weeks back. I was on an airplane actually trading it. I traded weeklies when I saw MU leaps being bought. Right, I made a nice 50% return. On the airplane trading weeklies. Right. So and again, like Eric said, it doesn't necessarily have to print every single day. Some months we have, 4 or 5 prints. Some months we have like 20, 30 prints, right? It depends on the market conditions. But when it does happen and pop up, you can bet your ass you have a high probability trade in that same directional bias. And again, I hate to advertise and promote, but earnings is usually always a gamble, right? But there are certain trades like Tiva, Microsoft, Meta that we banked off because of Stacks AI, because they bought Leafs. Prior to them reporting earnings, we did play earnings as well. Of course, managing our risk, nothing too crazy, but then again, it does work. It does help understanding that sentiment.
Yeah, and one thing I also kind of like to think of is if you went and filtered your buys for big money and unusual, not all of those will show up under Stacks AI. You'll notice here, these don't all show up under there. I kind of look at this big money unusual buys filter kind of as like a Stacks AI light. Just again, this is our filters telling us, hey, these are interesting situations with a lot of money being put toward those options, and so they're worth taking a look at and do create a bit of sentiment in terms of, in most cases, longer term situations. You'll notice, for example, a lot of time being purchased, especially with our Stacks AI situations, a lot of time being purchased with for some of these 2025, 2026, or at least through the end of the year type of thing. So keep in mind that you have a lot of different ways to use our software. What we also do encourage are the people that are in our Discord to converse and point out the things that they happen to see, because sometimes we miss little things here and there. Sometimes we are not as focused on certain tickers as other people are. But you can definitely bet that in our Discord there are people that are, shout out, hey, did anybody see that $30 million purchase on this ticker? Did anybody see these buys, these sells? And open up that conversation so that people get a little bit more of an idea of what side and what position to be taking.
Right. Yeah. So for the last, 12 minutes, 13 minutes or so, Eric, let's just leave it on the raw stacks page right
Yep.
now, with your equity block and everything. You can leave no, sorry. With everything, how it is looks at as a home page. So everything is open.
Yep.
Okay. And then yeah, so obviously for the last 12, 13 minutes, we'll look at how the raw data or our raw stacks flow is correlating. We did just see, as Eric was talking, more another $10 million in QQQ calls. However, these are 12/20 expiration, and these are in the money 450 strikes. Okay. Hell, if that person were to take on a scalp, that's already like a 2% gain off of $10 million. It's up right now. Now we're seeing obviously QQQ puts coming in 1018 being bought. Out the money. See, it was at 445 strikes, 200K, 200K. Reasonable amount, but nothing too crazy, right? So now you're going to see a huge push when it comes in 2 minutes at 12:50 p.m. mark, or that 3:50 p.m. Eastern Standard Time mark. So yeah, just keep an eye on it. As of now, as since the first live stream started, we had a couple call outs that we did say, and as of right now, they are still in profits. If you were to take on those trades as we were talking about stacks and talking about our edge and whatnot, congratulations. You are in profits. You can collect profits. You can do whatever you want. It's your money, right? It's your analysis. It's your trade. But again, we just want to go through this entire session with you guys live from the 2 hour end of the 2 hour mark until the finish. Okay. So if you guys ever need more comments throughout that, we will be more than happy to talk, but we'll just leave it on this stacks page for now until the rest of it. A QQQ call just been bought 9/11. These are 0 days to expiration. So what I tell you guys at the beginning, right? If you're a 0 days to expiration trader, these are the types of prints that are likely going to come the last 10 minutes of the day, or the first 30 minutes of market session. So yeah, let's watch it. QQQ right now, high of day, guys. All right, we can't make this up, man. I'm telling you, QQQ high of day right now. Can't make this up. And again, I've used this for years. Okay, guys. And things like this, conviction doesn't come overnight. Okay. So it's like, oh, how are you so confident? Yada yada yada. I've been using this. I've been deciphering this. I've been looking at it, reviewing trades day in, day out. And I can tell you that, 9 out of 10 times, the trades do work. Like that Nvidia $23 million that we just talked, almost 100% return in 4 days. Ridiculous, right? 1250 here. Now that big volume push starting to flow in. If you look at SPY or any of the ETFs or any ticker for that matter on the 1 minute chart, you'll see that the volume is now much larger than what it was, the past minute or two or whatever. So this is when all the, I'm not gonna say degenerates, but all the big boys are like, hey, fuck it, man, lunch is over, end of day, let's put some money to work. What should we do? Where should we do it? Where should we move it? What should we buy? What should we sell? Yada yada yada. All the volume come in.
One other thing I forgot to mention this earlier when I had my NVIDIA chart open is that NVIDIA has their ex-dividend date tomorrow. For stocks that do offer a dividend, there is a specific date that you must hold that equity in order to receive those dividends called the ex-dividend date. So for something like NVIDIA, it's tomorrow, meaning that these people actually have to make sure they purchase that stock, make sure they have that in their portfolio and hold it through tomorrow before, in order to receive that dividend. Generally, again, this very general sense for stocks is that, people will purchase before that dividend date, receive that dividend, and then people start to dump the stock the day after. So just again, another one of those things that adds on to the confluence of the fact that NVIDIA was going to be purchased and run up to an extent, are these set events that are already on the calendar due to every single stock that, they have their set dates for when those dividends are supposed to be paid out. And so, like I said, seeing all this flow come in, seeing it run up through the end of today, not as surprising as you might expect. It's already hit 116.37. So throughout this live stream that we've had, it went from 115 or so, 114.50, and jumped up to $2.20 throughout just this live stream. And as you can see, we saw a lot of that flow come in throughout that time. But like I said, I would not be surprised to see people take their profits or some people get out of that position during the dividend date or right after the dividend date, and then kind of reset a little bit. We'll see what the flow looks like if people are purchasing more, more calls. If for some reason news comes in and people purchase puts, it's very important to be flexible with the way that you trade and not just stick to one side. Obviously, there's that saying that bulls get slaughtered and bears get slaughtered. Um, but being able to pick the different sides and adjust and being able to be flexible with the way that the market is moving is extremely important.
Yeah, so just to let you know right now, QQQ high of day, guys. All right, this is fucking. You call it hindsight or whatever you want to call it. We announced this. We told you it was gonna happen during the live stream, before it happened. All right. Again, we've used this for years. I've used this for years. Um, I have enough conviction to trust our data and trust our software. So again, yeah, fucking phenomenal. I'm getting fucking text messages right now like, dude, bro, I got in. I'm fucking up 10% right now. Should I collect profits? It's this guy's
Every
like, I went
everybody's
0 days
everybody's
to
different.
expiration right now, guys. Up 85% if you were to enter when you saw that.
We
Fucking
also like to
ridiculous.
tell you if it's good enough to take profits or if it's good enough to take a screenshot and share with your friends, it's probably good enough to take profits.
Yep.
And the greedier you are, the more likely you are to get slaughtered in these situations. So just again, don't expect to time it to the top. When you do time things to the top, awesome, great job. But again, the goal here with trading isn't to, as much as you'd like to, you want to maximize what you're getting, but if you always try to maximize, it's more likely than not that you'll end up blowing something or losing out. If you're in the green and it's good enough to take a screenshot to share with your friends, it's probably good enough for you to take those profits. It's in the time that I've been in the markets, I've learned that risk management is not a joke. It's better to take those profits while you're in the green than to watch that go overnight and for some reason open up in the red. And especially with those things that are 0 days to expiration, they move very, very quickly. So, if you've got 80% on something, think back, what did you expect out of it to start? If it was, to make 30 or 40% off the bat, that 80% is already double what you expected. So just again, a word of caution for those that, like to play with fire, like to play with those more risky situations. Um, if it's good enough to screenshot, go ahead and take your profits. If you're one of those FOMO people like Chemo, leave a runner or two, but take the green when it is presented to you, so you don't let your account go down or you don't end up losing on a trade that was initially a nice green profit.
Yeah. I mean, Eric probably knows, but we were talking before the call, setting things up. Fucking man, call this shit, bro. Look at it. Fucking banking right now. Call this shit, dude. Fucking squeezing, baby. Come on. Dude, this is fucking ridiculous. This is fucking solid.
Nvidia's approaching 117 now.
Oh yeah, I'm looking at QQQs. I'm looking at SPY, dude. Look at this motherfuckers.
Yep, those are all
Yeah.
approaching high of days.
I'm gonna look at coin real quick, but coin.
Coins bounced back up a little bit. It had a little
Yeah,
higher
I
up
wanna
earlier.
see. So what we want to see if you're in Coinbase is we want to see that daily close above that trend line. Right now it's still below. Seeing some weakness as broader markets squeeze higher is not a good sign for us. However, again, remember what I told you guys in the beginning. There's always a shakeout before the rip, right? This morning could have been and probably was that shakeout. Um, So, I mean, that V-shaped recovery plus higher highs for the day on the broader market screams higher, man. So let's see if Bitcoin overnight follows through, gets a nice gap up for coin, or we get some sort of catalyst going into tomorrow. But we are at a key spot, for bulls to finally win this tug of war. Damn, look at QQQ, man. Look at SPY. Let's go, baby.
We just had even more Nvidia prints come in, some Apple, Spy, Amazon,
Yeah,
all
look at these big
big
techs coming
hitters.
in.
Yeah, big tech pushing up QQQ. You even see here on our dark pool, QQQ being bought up, Meta, end of day.
Hey, on the chat box, guys, on the YouTube live channel, there's an emoji, right? Let me see a bunch of hearts and $100. Let me see a bunch of hearts and $100, 100% emojis signed real quick. Come on, let's get that. Let's get that going. Come on, let's get that going. Yeah.
Got to ask yourself if I should sell or not. That's the perfect time to sell.
Nah, man, it's perfect time to buy. Let's go. Fantastic, phenomenal, man. Let's go, dude. Hate to be a broken record, but like I said, guys, the three trades that we called out in stacks that was unusual, right? The Nvidias, the SPYs, QQQs. Again, if you were to just enter those, I know we weren't being like, hey, alerting you guys and entering. That wasn't the point of this. The point of this, trading session was to literally show you what we see in stacks, get a different perspective, a different viewpoint, and then for you to really understand that, hey, there's a tool out there and it's called Stax and it fucking works. Okay. And again, you can blame and call hindsight all you want, but dude, this was not hindsight. All right. We caught this is like an hour and a half, 2 hours ago. All right. But yeah, last reminder before we end the stream, guys, is remember ETFs are able to trade. You can watch Stacks if you're still in it and using it. That's the bell. They trade 15 minutes post-op, post market session. So you can continue to monitor that. If you're a futures trader, right, that's a big key indicator to see how it moves overnight. All right. You see millions of dollars being bought, and then we open up flat or even down. Guess what? It's a good probability that we do head higher. Again, there's nothing as of right now, but the next 15 minutes are ideal, especially if you're futures traders.
Yeah, I always like to take a look at what comes in between that for me here, the 1 to 115 range. Especially if it ends up being big money, especially if it ends up being unusual. The way I like to think about it is these large institutions are waiting for the candle close of today, or if it's a Friday, waiting for the candle close of that weekly candle to make a decision as to what they expect for the upcoming week.
Yeah, as
And
you can
so,
see right now
yep,
too, so spy call being sold, QQQ puts being bought. Yeah, we're kind of going down a little bit after hours right now. So remember, you can trade these right now still too, even though market's closed. You can still buy, you can still enter, you can still sell your ETFs right now. But I mean, it's not big money. It's 160K, 170K. And
yep,
there's a
there
bunch
we
coming
go.
in now.
A lot more puts.
1.2 million SPY puts, 1018 being bought, 1.2 million two prints. Some puts also being sold. Out the monies, they're all out the monies. So yeah, this is good data for you to reflect on. Obviously trading, going forward and trading.
Yeah, a lot of profits being taken probably here.
Yeah, and guess what? We're not surprised, right? I mean, who
Yeah.
who wouldn't collect profits when the day's range has been met plus more? So yeah, that's it. I mean, do you have anything else, Harrison, Eric, to add or to say before we end this stream?
No? you guys enjoyed this, let us know in the comments section, please. We're trying to set up and try and figure out how often we can do this. But again, if you guys enjoyed it a lot and really liked what you saw, let us know, and we'll do our best to schedule and try to satisfy that want.
Yeah, and of course, guys, thanks for your patience and bearing with us when we try to do our first live stream. Obviously, as we continue forward, it will be better. We will find a way to be able to share both the charts and stacks together. But in the meantime, we appreciate you guys joining. We hope it did help a lot of you, in terms of understanding stacks a little bit more, understanding basic concepts, and just understanding, trading as a whole. All right. If
And just
that
last
is
thing, if you
it,
guys do have questions and don't have a direct way to contact us, if you're not in the Discord, you can always send us an email over here at help@investorcentralclub.com. And we can always, if you're trying to sign up for Stacks, if you're having trouble with any of our trials and subscriptions, please let us know. We're more than happy to help you guys out. And for those that want to try out that trial, this is just a screenshot of the page that I have, where underneath that subscribe button, you'll have a 2-day trial you guys can try out. Again, if you do come across any sort of issues, please let us know and send us a email, and we're more than happy to help you out there. All right.
fantastic.
Thank you,
All right,
Harrison,
great,
for
guys.
joining us. Thank you, Harrison, for joining us. I appreciate
My
having
pleasure.
you out. And we'll schedule the next one when we can, and we'll keep you guys updated. If you're not currently on our webinar list, the link to our email list is in the description below. So please don't hesitate. Put your email in there. You'll get the email reminder the week before, and you'll get the email reminder about 15 minutes before we go live. All right.
Perfect.
I'm gonna end this broadcast. You guys all